I feel you thinking about me. I hear your name in the breeze. You're all that I see. The birds singing melodies. Just remember you're all that I breathe. Remember all around me. The ocean, the sun, and the trees.
Oh, you're so sweet, I swear. Te mando un besito.
All right, we're on Disco Acid Cult TV. I think this is, I was on one time last week, but other than that, I've been pretty lazy about, running the stream. I need to change a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of things I want to change that I can't. Like, I'm kind of just stuck with what I got for now. But, the biggest thing I've been complaining about lately is that I need someone else to co-host with me who's just kind of like as delusional as I am about doing this. That's been that's definitely been a big thing. I need someone who is just as delusional as me to get on here with me more often than the people that I have. No shade against my right now I have like 2 co-hosts that come on once a week usually. But yeah, I saw Minecraft. I guess that's the first thing I have to get into because that's the first thing I put on the title. I saw the Minecraft movie, and it was cool. I liked it. Um, you have to go into it knowing that it's not an artistic masterpiece. If I wanted to sit here and complain about lack of character development, I could complain about that all day. If you wanted to complain about how you don't really get to know any of the characters and, of course you could complain about that all day. But as far as a kids movie that's about a video game, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I don't live in a big city, so I don't get any cool movie theater experiences. I don't get to go to like packed theaters where people are throwing popcorn everywhere and anyone's getting rowdy. I go to theaters where they're usually like at the most half full. So there was some kids in the theater, they were trying. They were applauding at the right parts and they did the chicken jockey thing. It was just the lightweight version of that. But yeah, it was a good movie. Jason Momoa's character is my favorite. That was my favorite character in the movie for sure. I feel like he's the only one that really had any kind of arc. He's the only guy that went through kind of anything as a character. It seemed like the kid that there's the I don't even know any of the names. I guess that tells you a little bit about the attention I put into the movie. Obviously, I watched the movie. I just like I said, I took it for what it was worth. There's the little kid character, and I kinda thought he would be the one that goes through, like, the most, and he really doesn't, go through that much. There's little bits of hints of him being kind of a weird kid or a creative kid, and just kinda nothing really happens with it. The Jason Momoa character I liked, though. He actually had, like, a story. Um, he was this champion video game, arcade game player. He really reminded me of, I feel like he had to have been influenced by who is that one guy? I can never remember his name. Billy Mitchell. Yeah. Jason Momoa's character had to have been influenced by Billy Mitchell, uh, champion Donkey Kong arcade player back in, I think, the 80s. Yeah, throughout the 80s and 90s. That's definitely who I think was, or who I think Jason Momoa's character was based on. And they added a touch of, he was kind of like an 80s hair metal guy, which I really liked, just because I like 80s hair metal. We got Skid Row in the movie. That was enough for me right away. That I liked it more than I thought I was going to as soon as I heard Skid Row. But yeah, he's the only character that really had any kind of real backstory. I mean, Jack Black's character, everyone knows his name. I know his name is Steve. He actually, now that I think about it, he has some backstory, kind of. He is a kid. He wants to go play in the mines and get into the Minecraft world, and he can't. And then he becomes an adult, and he just decides to go there. And that's the extent of his backstory. And he has a dog. He has a wolf that's like from the Minecraft world, whose name is Dennis. That's really all you get there. The kid, um, it's like him and his older sister moved to a small town to kind of start over. I don't think they really say why. I think they just are kind of like, yeah, we're done on our luck, and I took a job in this town, and that's really all you get from them. And then there's the other girl who's, I guess, the real estate agent, who's kind of friends with the sister. Yeah, point being, none of the characters have stories. Like, it's not this, it's not an artistic masterpiece. But it's a fun movie. Um, it's fun for the kids, which I'm down with. I'm down for the kids having their own thing. So all in all, you acknowledge the audience that it was made for. You understand you're not going to see Citizen Kane. You're not going to see Frankenstein. You're not going to see Dress to Kill. You're going to see a Minecraft movie. That being said, yeah, it was fine. It was totally fine. I, I want to say I'd give it like a C plus, but I guess if I was going to rate it on the scale, there's two different scales. If I was going to put it on my normal scale, I'd give it like a C. But if I was gonna put it on my scale where I'm cutting it some slack because it's a kids movie, I'd give it like a B, maybe even a B plus. It's a very memeable, quotable movie, which I think is really all that matters when you're making a kids movie. One thing I thought was crazy about it, there was 5 screenplay writers. Yeah, I think there's 5. Let me look it up because I remember seeing on the credits, screenplay by, yeah, Chris Bowman, what is this? Hubble Palmer, Neil Widener, Gavin James, Chris Goleta. Yeah, 5 script writers. That was crazy to me. I wondered what took 5 writers to write a Minecraft movie, you know? Usually, I think when people see 2 screenplay writers, you sometimes kinda start thinking, I wonder what happens there. Usually one script writer is optimal, 2 max. Whenever you start seeing 3 or more, you kind of start looking sideways at the credit, being like, damn, what happened behind the scenes that they needed more than 2 writers to write this movie? But whatever. It's not like that factors into my score of the movie. I didn't realize it was a Jared Hess movie. I think Napoleon Dynamite is one of the greatest comedies of all time, maybe one of the greatest movies of all time. I love Napoleon Dynamite. So I thought that was pretty crazy. Cool to see Jared Hess and Jack Black working together. Jack Black, of course, gets to sing in the movie. Whenever you get Jack Black in a movie, a comedy movie, I feel like it's a pretty safe bet he's going to sing something. So that was good that we got to see Jack Black singing, basically. It's yeah, it's fun. It's fun. If you're my age and you have like younger siblings, you should go see it with them if they want to see it. I guess if you're my age and you don't have younger siblings, even if you just played Minecraft, that's the thing is I really didn't play that much Minecraft. I could probably count the hours I've spent in my life playing Minecraft on one hand. And I always played on peaceful mode. I just like to build stuff. So it's not like I knew anything about what was going on as far as the Minecraft references. But yeah, it was fun. It was easy. The plot is really not even like if I was gonna sit here and spoil the whole thing, I don't even think you really could. They go to Minecraft world. There's a big bad guy that wants to destroy the Minecraft world, and they have to stop the bad guy from doing that. Pretty standard stuff for like kids action. One of my complaints that I will say, even giving it the slack that I'm cutting it for being a kids movie, Jason Momoa's character, again, my favorite character, his good guy turn takes way too long. Throughout the first half of the movie, Jason Momoa's character is kind of an asshole. He's kind of this uh, down on his luck uh, guy who isn't really interested in teaming up with anybody or going on any kind of adventures like this, and he kind of gets dragged into the situation. So he's kind of mean the whole time. He's mean to Jack Black. He's not very nice to the kid, and it takes a little bit too long for him to come around. You watch it and you can tell, okay, what's going to happen is he's going to warm up to these guys in a little bit, and he's going to become a good guy. But not that he was ever a bad guy, but he's going to become a nicer guy to the characters. But that takes a really long time. Like, he really doesn't become a nice guy and warm up to the other main characters until very close to the end of the movie. One part in the middle of it, I kept thinking, "Why is this guy being such an asshole?" Like, we're, like, more than halfway through the movie, like, why is he still being an asshole? But, that's really it. That's really my only realistic complaint for that movie, so I thought it was totally fine as far as, yeah, a kid's video game action movie goes. We're definitely getting a sequel. There is a post-credit scene, and it's for sure laying the groundwork for a sequel. That seems to be the trend now. You always do a little post-credit scene, and then when you see how the box office does, you can do a sequel. I would imagine the thing with Minecraft is I would imagine they you could make a franchise out of it if you wanted to, because it's such an open thing. You could make another Minecraft movie and not even have the same cast. You could have a different cast of people going into the Minecraft world. It is kind of a clever. When I first saw that they were making a Minecraft movie, I thought it was stupid. I thought it was a terrible idea, as I usually do with everything because I'm just negative like that. But yeah, now thinking about it, it seems like actually a pretty smart idea, because you could probably do anything with it. You could probably put any actor in the Minecraft world or any character. You could write any story in the Minecraft world because it's just such a big open, as it is in the game, a big open world. It would also be in movies, a big open world where you could just put anybody in and have anything happen. So I thought that's pretty clever, or I think that's pretty clever now when I think about it realistically. So yeah. Overall, like I said, you don't race to the theater to see it. I certainly wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say everybody needs to drop what they're doing right now and go see it. But yeah, if you're interested at all, if you're curious, you might as well go see it. It's pretty good. It's pretty fun. It's pretty funny. Like I said, it's memeable and it's quotable. That's about all you could ask for. I think, I think the Minecraft movie is better, not better news, it's better substance than, I was gonna make fun of the Katy Perry thing, the Katy Perry going to space for, like, 9 minutes, I think they said. Somebody posted this, let me try to pull this up. Somebody posted what her trip looked like. Katy Perry going to space. Somebody mapped out the actual trip. Apparently, according to this person on Twitter, my sources are always just a person on Twitter. Who knows? According to this person, this is what it looked like. Um, you have, you got the launch right here. Rocket hits its point of maximum stress right here. Main engine cutoff. Capsule separates from the booster. Here we go. Here's actual space. The capsule passes into Kármán line and officially enters space. And you see this little bump right here. Crew experiences 3 to 4 minutes of weightlessness. Right. And then we start going down. then here we go, here we go. So, yeah, so Katy Perry spends, some people have been saying 9 minutes, some people have been saying 11 minutes, some people say it's like an 11-minute journey, and then, oh, I guess there are times right here. If this time is correct, yeah, it'd be at the 3.5 minute mark is when she hits space, and then at the 11-minute mark is when she lands back down on Earth. I don't even know who the other people were. I think I saw Gail King. I feel like I'm familiar with that name, but not familiar enough to be able to tell you who the fuck she is. I just think we live in a ridiculous timeline. I think the world is kind of silly. We have, well, this was like a Jeff Bezos thing. Jeff Bezos funded this. First of all, I thought billionaires weren't cool. Like I thought we hated billionaires. So why does Katy Perry like Jeff Bezos? Why is she doing this? I thought Katy Perry was like, like one of the Hollywood folks, and I thought those people hated billionaires. I don't that part was kind of weird to me. What's Katy Perry doing hanging out with Jeff Bezos? I would have assumed that, she hates Jeff Bezos. I mean, what's that guy's name? Bill Burr's been, his big thing lately has been death to all billionaires. And I would assume Bill Burr and Katy Perry, at least publicly, share similar thoughts when it comes to social and political issues. So I thought that was a weird thing, that Katy Perry's just out accepting rocket rides from Jeff Bezos. But all in all, yeah, it's just a really silly timeline. It's just a very goofy timeline. I don't know why anybody's making any kind of deal about Katy Perry spending a couple minutes in space. And it's supposed to be, they've been portraying it as this big woman's thing, like putting some women up in space. But it's like Katy Perry and a couple rich girls. Like, you know, I guess it would be one thing if it was obviously if it was female astronauts. To me, that's a real thing. That's, women who did work in this field and are dominating in this field and, accomplishing these milestones for females. I think it would have been more meaningful if they wanted to do the whole female empowerment thing. It would have been more meaningful if they took like regular women. Like if you just went out and found like gals that are working 9 to 5 jobs that live in apartments, maybe like a mom, I don't know, maybe like an HR representative, like pick up some of those girls and send them up into space and then talk to me about, doing important things for women. When it's Katy Perry, I just don't think it's all that big of a deal. To me, the headline might as well just say like rich people went up into space. Like, okay. Okay, yeah, rich people can afford to go up into space. I can't afford to go up into space. You know, the fact that everyone's acting like this is some big thing. We're running out of distractions, is what's actually going on. We are running out of distractions. Back in the ancient days, they had colosseums and put a dude in a put a dude in a battle with a lion and let the Colosseum watch that happen. That was the big distraction. But now the distraction is just taking multi-million dollar singers and sending them up into outer space. I guess you might not even be able to call it outer space. It might just be might just be very close to the edge inner space. It's just silly. It's just really silly. That's pretty much it. That's the worst part about when you're looking through headlines, like looking for things to talk about, and you get Katy Perry went on an 11-minute journey to the edge of space, and that's something that you have to actually do, something that you have to actually tackle. Like I don't even know what to say about it. I don't know what to say about it. I guess it's good meme content. Again, just like the Minecraft movie. In a different way though. It's good meme content. Everybody can meme Katy Perry going into space. It seems like she was real dramatic. We got that footage of her, yeah, her kissing the ground. Katy Perry kissing the ground after only being gone for 10 minutes. Basically, it took a very, a dangerous trip to Walmart and then gets back and feels the need to kiss the ground, to kiss the dirt. That is also funny that, kinda like the trendy thing to do now is to dislike the country, like, nobody likes America, right? And I'm not the pro-America guy, that's not my thing, you know? I'm not. I could give a fuck about the patriotic people and shit, but it is kinda funny to go to space for 11 minutes and then come back and kiss the American ground like you've missed it so badly when all you've done for the past, 9, 10 years is, talk tremendous amounts of shit about the country. But, once you get on a rocket ship for 10 minutes, I guess you become patriotic again. I thought that was a little bit silly too. I just don't know. I don't know. I have trouble finding things to bring up on this stream, especially when chat is not popping. It gets hard to find things of substance to talk about because all the headlines are talking about, rich lady is going up into space for a couple minutes, and that's what I have to work with. That's what I blame That's what I blame the lack of success on this channel. That's what I blame it on completely, actually, now that I think about it. The fact that this channel has not taken off and gained 5 million subscribers is not my fault. It's not anyone else's fault that's been on the channel. It's the fault of the world for only giving me things like Katy Perry going into space. That's actually whose fault it is. So, you know, don't blame me. Don't blame me at all. Um, you know what I was gonna bring up last week that I forgot to bring up, was we have this news. Well, again, now it's old news, but, hold on, let me find it. I have at least a picture. Yeah, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. This supposed, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel. This is, to me, this is a terrible idea. To me, this is a terrible idea. I don't think First of all, I don't think this movie needs a sequel. It doesn't. It's not a movie that should have a sequel. It's not even that it doesn't need a sequel, it's that it ended perfectly, you know? And I'm not the biggest, well, let me say, I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think it's a really good movie. It's not my favorite Tarantino movie, but I like it. It's a good movie. I will admit it took me a couple tries, to get into it. I think the first time I watched it, I kinda thought, it's kinda one of those uneventful movies. I call them nothing happens movies. I think of, like, The Breakfast Club, and I'm not comparing The Breakfast Club to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Easy Rider. Again, not comparing any of the 3 movies, but I call them all nothing happens movies because they're kind of movies that are kind of slice of life, you know? There's not one big aside from the final act with Tex Watson and the girls. Aside from that, you're kinda just watching 2 characters, well, 3 characters, mostly these 2, and then, Sharon Tate. You're kinda just watching these 2 guys go about their lives. But after I watched it a couple times, I got more into it, you know? I'm also as of more recently, I've become a very big fan of the nothing happens movies, of the slice of life movies. I like movies like that, I love The Breakfast Club, and I love Easy Rider. And like I said, they're all to me kind of like slice of life movies. So, I do like this movie, but I think it ended just fine. We don't need a sequel. The David Fincher thing is super, weird to me. Um, and I like David Fincher a lot, actually. I really, really like Zodiac. I really like didn't he do, he did it was that series. Damn, why can I never find these things when I'm on here? Yeah, right, okay, Mindhunter. He did Mindhunter. I'm correct about that. So, I like David Fincher a lot. He did Mindhunter. I really liked Zodiac. Um, he did Fight Club, right? Of course, fucking love Fight Club. But I don't think he needs to be doing a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel. What's he gonna do? It's apparently just gonna be Brad Pitt. It's gonna focus on Brad Pitt. It's gonna be Brad Pitt and David Fincher, which is cool. That's like the Fight Club duo, but I don't know. I don't really see that mixing so well. I hope I'm wrong, of course. I always hope I'm wrong. Whenever I say that I don't think we should get this movie or I'm not excited to see this movie, I always hope I'm wrong. Um, Let me pull up the article on theplaylist.net. Yeah, David Fincher to direct Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel. It's written by Quentin Tarantino. And I think that's gonna be weird too. Quentin Tarantino is one of those guys that to me, he has to write the script and direct the movie. That's kind of how I prefer anything to do with Tarantino. I prefer it, him being involved all the way through. Yeah, now Fincher and Pitt working together isn't a surprise. The 7 okay, yeah, he also made 7. 7's fine. I'm not the biggest fan of 7. It's fine. I can watch it. I don't love it though. Some people love 7. I don't really love it that much. The 7 filmmaker gives Pitt first dibs on all his projects. That's pretty cool. I didn't think I know they have a relationship like that. So anything David Fincher makes, he calls up Brad Pitt and says, "Hey, do you want to be in this?" That's pretty cool. I would do the same thing if I could. I would call Brad Pitt if I was like going to the gas station. I would give Brad Pitt first dibs on, "Do you want to come with me?" Maybe I could try that. I could try that out. I could try calling Brad Pitt next time I go to the store. But directing a film based on the screenplay of Tarantino, who always directs his own material, is not only an unexpected shocker, it's a cinematic first. What's more, the project is being set up at Netflix, where Fincher has a first look deal and aims to shoot quickly this summer. From what I understand, this is the screenplay that Tarantino's The Movie Critic evolved into. Yeah, I remember reading about that Tarantino kinda just completely quit doing The Movie Critic. That was supposed to be, like, his last movie. The thing is, Brad Pitt's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my favorite character. So, I would like to say that I'd be interested to see more about his character. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what his character could go on to do, you know? Yeah, I don't know what else he goes on to do. Like, what does he do after the events of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? I guess obviously he could go anywhere, but I don't know. I'm not too thrilled about it. I'll watch it, obviously. I'll watch it. And like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope after it comes out, I hope I get back on here and I talk about how much I liked it. Yeah, to me, it seems like a weird idea. Seems like a weird idea. I think kind of I was gonna say kind of the charm of the first movie is the setting in '69, but it's not like early '70s is like detrimentally different than 1969. Yeah, I guess that's my main thing. I don't know what Brad Pitt goes on to do or what Cliff Booth goes on to do, right? I would assume it's gonna have something to do with him being a a movie critic, wasn't I don't remember what the movie critic was supposed to be about, aside from a movie critic, right? I think it was just supposed to be about a movie critic in the '70s. I could be wrong, but I don't know, does Cliff Booth become the movie critic? I don't really know. I, um, I almost think, like, I don't wanna say a prequel would have been interesting, like, let's get a little bit more about Cliff Booth's life before he met Rick Dalton. Maybe that could be something interesting, but I doubt it's gonna be that. I feel like it's gonna be something that takes place after the events of, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But, you know, I guess it could be cool. I'm more curious to see what Quentin Tarantino's, his last movie is gonna be. I put up the air quotes because I don't think it's gonna be his last movie. I think he's actually setting himself up for something genius, I think, by declaring that he's only gonna make 10 movies, so early in his career. Um, I think his 11th movie will be, like, one of the biggest movies of all time. Let's say Quentin Tarantino puts out his 10th and final movie in, like, 3 years. Who knows, but let's just say he puts it out in 3 years, and then he sits. Maybe he writes books, or maybe he works on, a series, or, whatever, for anywhere between, like, 5 to 10 years, hopefully closer to 10 years, right? So let's say he puts out his 10th movie in 3 years, and then he sits around for 10 years, and then he announces, I've had a sudden surge of inspiration. I really want to make another movie. I think that would be cool. That's what I think is going to happen. Anyways, I think he's going to, sorry, I got distracted there. I think he's going to do the 10th movie. And then, yeah, I think 10 years down the line. And I think it'll be like one of the biggest box office movies of all time. It'll be Tarantino's big comeback after ending his career. There's just no way. There's just no way that somebody as big as Tarantino declares his final movie is the 10th movie. And then that's just how it goes. No way. Another person I'm really interested in to see what they do in the future is, of course, Rob Zombie. Everyone that knows me knows that Rob Zombie is probably my favorite horror film director, one of my favorite directors overall. I think Rob Zombie is a genius, and it seems like we're not getting a new movie anytime soon. I've seen a lot of people online saying that he has straight up said he's not working on a movie this year in 2025. I don't know where they've seen that, but that seems to be the general consensus among the hardcore fans in the Facebook groups. So I've just kind of been accepting that for now, you know. And it's not like he's announced anything coming up. The last thing he talked about was on Howie Mandel's podcast. He talked about how he's working on a new album, and that was like a year ago at this point, maybe like even between a year and 2 years ago. So we're definitely going to get a new Rob Zombie album before we get a new Rob Zombie movie. But I'm curious to see what he gets next, and I'm curious in kind of a negative way because I don't know. We don't know the numbers for the Munsters. Like, you don't really know how financially successful straight to streaming movies are because I mean you can't even find the budget of that movie online. Um, so there's certainly no numbers or streaming numbers to look at. I don't think. I've heard a YouTuber say that they believe the Munsters will be Rob Zombie's like last like studio funded film. I hope that's not the case. Like I said, that's just a horror movie YouTuber that just kind of put out this prediction. Because if you look at the back half of his catalog, it's kind of been, oh man, I hate to even say going downhill just because I like Rob Zombie so much. But after Halloween 2, we went to Lords of Salem, which was I don't think successful in terms of box office. You never know with home video, of course. You never know when things sell a lot of DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever. Um, yeah, Lords of Salem, the budget was according to Wikipedia, the budget was 1.5 million and the box office is 1.5 million. So that would not be it's not ideal. Then you had 31, which is I think even less. First of all, that movie was crowdfunded. Yeah, Wikipedia. 31's budget 1.5 million and the box office is 850,000. Doesn't even break a million. So that's, that's not the greatest. After that, we get Three from Hell. And Three from Hell, I think I know that was a studio release, but that was kind of a different thing. That's because it's based on his most successful characters to date. And even Three from Hell on Wikipedia, budget 3 million, box office 2.2 million. I will say, I think Three from Hell was released in 2019. I don't think that was quite COVID era. It was September of 2019, so I'm really shaky with my timelines. I think COVID was like 2020 was like the main start of it, right? It was like early 2020. But I feel like leading into it, things kind of started getting a little weird. So I don't know. I know the release of Three from Hell was very small. It was like a couple theaters for a couple days or something. Yeah, right here. Special 3-night theatrical engagement through Fathom Events, September 16th through September 18th. And then we have the Munsters, where we don't know the budget and we don't know the box office. So really, the second half of his film career has not been, um, it's not been Hollywood blockbuster. That's kind of I think the nicest way to put it. It has not been. It has not been anywhere near the heights of The Devil's Rejects and his first Halloween movie. So I think that's why this YouTuber that I'm talking about would predict that The Munsters will be Rob Zombie's final studio-funded film. Basically meaning that no more studios will want to take a chance on him. Obviously, I hope that's not true, and I don't even think that is necessarily true. I'm sure there's plenty of studios, maybe smaller indie film studios that would have no problem giving Rob Zombie a budget. In my dream world, um, a studio gives him $7 million and says, "Do whatever you wanna do." If I was the head of a studio and I let my fanboy take over, I would give Rob Zombie $7 million and say, "Do what you wanna do," you know? I've had a Rob Zombie wish list for a long time of things that I want, but no, will never get. I really would like a Werewolf Women of the SS. Of course, we'll never get that today. I really want Tyrannosaurus Rex, the unmade movie that he was supposed to make with the Weinsteins after the first Halloween. But even then, they told him no because they said that budget's going to be way too high. So I doubt he'd be able to get whatever that budget would be today. And I know he's obviously wanted, he's talked a lot about how he's wanted to do a non-horror movie for a long time. And I don't think he's ever going to get to. I think kind of sadly and kind of unfortunately, I don't think anyone's ever really going to give him a budget to do a non-horror movie. I think that's going to be his full catalog. So, that being said, yeah, I am curious to see what happens in his film career. I would imagine in 2026, he'll have to say something about, if he's going to start working on something, if he's not going to work on anything. I think it'd be cool to see him do, T Rex was supposed to be an action movie, from what I understand. I read somewhere online that said T Rex was supposed to be about a boxer, a retired boxer who like recently gets out of prison and then goes on to take on this satanic biker gang. And to me, there's nothing cooler that I can think of than a Rob Zombie movie about a boxer taking on a satanic biker gang. I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's just about the coolest thing I could imagine. So, like I said, I don't think we'll ever get that movie, but I do think he can make a cool action movie. I think T-Rex someone said T-Rex was supposed to be like a '70s, a kind of gritty 1970s style action film, and I think that would have been really cool. I think no matter what he does, it would obviously have horror elements in it, the satanic biker gang, no matter how non-horror you want it to be. A satanic biker gang is gonna have some horror elements into it no matter what. Yeah, that's mostly what I'm curious about when it comes to film in the future, is what Rob Zombie's gonna be doing next. I think, the only last thing I really had before I get out of here, I found this funny tweet. The director of Home Alone 2, apparently he said somewhere, this is according to Pop Base, "I just wish it was gone. I can't cut it. If I cut it, I'll probably be sent out of the country." He's talking about Donald Trump's cameo in Home Alone 2. And I just think this is so pussy. I'm so tired of this shit. I'm so tired of people fucking pussying out over Donald Trump. I hate being the guy. I hate like I hate even sounding like I'm defending certain politicians. I always get stuck in this place where I sound like I'm defending this guy. But it's just because I think everybody's a pussy about it. Dude, Chris Columbus is, I think, one of like the biggest like directors and producers. I think he's mostly dude, like let's look at his fucking filmography. This guy wrote Gremlins. This guy wrote The Goonies. This guy directed Adventures in Babysitting. This guy directed Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2, Mrs. Doubtfire, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I Love You, Beth Cooper. Dude, this guy's one of the most successful film directors and producers of all time. And he like, there's just no way this quote is serious. Like he'd be sent out of the country. Imagine a world. I mean, I guess I did just spend a couple minutes talking about Katy Perry going into outer space. So who knows? But yeah, imagine a country where somebody removes Donald Trump from future video releases of a movie and he gets sent out of the country. Yeah. It's either just pure virtue signaling or it's pure narcissism to think that like Donald Trump's even thinking about you. To think that like even if this was to happen, even if he did somehow remove the Donald Trump cameo from Home Alone 2, to think that he'd be sent out of the country. The thing that's funny about it is that, dude, I bet you like all the money in my bank account that the experience that Chris Columbus had with the Trump cameo shooting the movie, it was probably a perfectly pleasant and fine experience. Like Trump probably showed up, they did a couple takes, they probably cracked some jokes and laughed, and it was fun, and they went home. You know, the thing that's crazy to me about the Donald Trump hate is, so according to everyone, right, this guy's a racist, this guy's a misogynist, what a fascist, a Nazi. This guy's every bad thing you can possibly be. Okay, so that would mean one of a few things. It would mean either one, he's always been a racist, misogynist, fascist Nazi, and what that would mean is that, everybody in Hollywood was just fine with it, right? That would mean that this guy, Chris Columbus, and everybody else in Hollywood that Trump was ever friends with and crossed paths with, they were fine with it. They were complicit. They had no problems with it, right? This guy has just been a lifelong terrible person, and everybody in Hollywood was just totally okay with it. Well, that says a lot of bad things about you guys, right? Like somebody could say to Chris Columbus. So, like, are you a racist misog? Like, are you fine with people being, you directed him in your movie, and did you not say anything to him? Did you not say, no, I don't want to work with this guy because he's a racist, sexist, fascist? No, you didn't. You worked with him. You made the movie. Everything was fine. So that's what that option would mean. Option two would be that Donald Trump was always just a nice guy in Hollywood. He was always fine. Everybody got along with him. And then just in 2015, magically, like what in his late 60s or 70s, however old he is, He just overnight became a racist and a misogynist and a fascist and a Nazi. That doesn't usually happen. Usually people don't become racist, misogynist, fascist, Nazis just in their late 60s or 70s, however fucking old this guy was at the time. That's not usually how it goes. So that's very unbelievable. Option number 3, of course, is that these guys are all just virtue signaling and bullshitting. You know, it's just popular for Chris Columbus to say shit like this, and he knows it. He knows he's gonna get some points, probably got some extra points with people that follow pop bass for saying this. Like, right on, now we know Chris Columbus is on the right side. We're cool with him. We're down with Chris Columbus. Dude, I'm just tired of it, dude. I don't fucking like Donald Trump. I don't like a lot of the things this guy did. I don't like the way he handled COVID. I don't like I don't think he's going to run a third term. Don't get me wrong. I do not believe that's going to happen. But if it does, I'd be the first guy to say no, that's not cool at all. There's plenty of things this guy's done that, how much he added to the budget in his first term. Plenty of things this guy's done that I don't like. That's what I always have to say. I don't like being the guy that's defending him. But he's not this fucking cartoon character that people like Chris Columbus would want you to believe. Dude, he was in Home Alone 2 for all of 5 seconds. I seriously doubt Chris Columbus is sitting around thinking about this. Like, he's not losing sleep at night thinking about this. This probably came up in an interview. I wish this tweet had more context. No, it looks like we do have some context. Let's pull up this fucking article right here. Right here in the San Francisco Chronicle, too. Cool, we got some local shit. Let's see. Home Alone 2 director says Donald Trump cameo it's become this curse. San Francisco filmmaker Chris Columbus said Donald Trump's cameo in Home Alone 2, lost in New York more than 30 years ago, has become an albatross for me and wishes it was gone. Right on. So Chris Columbus is a pussy. In quotes from Chris Columbus, "I can't cut it," the San Francisco resident told the Chronicle in a recent interview. Yes, in an interview. "If I cut it, I'll probably be sent out of the country. I'll be considered soft or not fit to live in the United States. So I'll have to go back to Italy or something." Of course, Columbus, born and raised in the United States with Italian ancestry, right? Oh, he's going to send me back to Italy, even though I was not born in Italy and not raised in Italy. These people just say shit. Was sarcastically referring to the Trump administration's mass deportations plans. In the 7-second cameo in the 1992 box office hit, the future president gives star Macaulay Culkin directions in New York's famed Plaza Hotel, which Trump, then known only as a flamboyant Manhattan real estate tycoon, owned at the time. Columbus's original family comedy Home Alone starred Culkin as Kevin McAllister, a 10-year-old who fends off home invaders after his parents accidentally leave him home alone at Christmas. The movie, which cost $18 million to make, was filmed in Chicago, was the filmmaker's first big hit as a director, pulling in more than $475 million. Before beginning work on the San Francisco shot Mrs. Doubtfire, Columbus was tapped to direct Home Alone, the sequel, which has Kevin parentless in the Big Apple. Columbus said Trump only agreed to let the production film at the Plaza if he could get some screen time. "We paid the fee, but he also said the only way you can use the Plaza is if I'm in the movie. So we agreed to put him in the movie," Columbus told Business Insider in 2020 in an article commemorating the film's 30th anniversary. 3 years later, Trump apparently got wind of Columbus's quote and posted on Truth Social in 2023 that Columbus was begging him to appear in the film. This is the Trump quote. "I was very busy and didn't want to do it," Trump wrote. "They were very nice, but above all, persistent. I agreed, and the rest is history. That little cameo took off like a rocket, and the movie was a big success and still is, especially around Christmas time. People call me whenever it's aired. Now, however, 30 years later, Columbus put out a statement that I bullied myself into the movie. Nothing could be further from the truth. That cameo helped make the movie a success. Just another Hollywood guy from the past looking for a quick fix of Trump publicity for himself. Columbus didn't immediately respond to Trump's post at the time, but now tells the Chronicle he had intended to cut the cameo and wishes he had. He says, "We screened the film in Chicago, and when that moment came on screen, the audience went crazy," Columbus recalled. "They cheered and they cheered, and they thought it was hilarious. I think I know a lot about comedy, but I don't, obviously, because I never thought that was going to be considered hilarious." Years later, it's become this curse. It's become this thing that I wish was not there. What's going through this guy's mind? He said I was lying. I'm not lying. He said I begged him to be in the movie, but there's no world I would ever beg a non actor to be in a movie, but we were desperate to get the Plaza Hotel. Well, if you're admitting to being desperate to get the Plaza Hotel, why would it not make sense that you would beg Donald Trump to be in the movie? This is the thing. I really hate taking this guy's side on this stuff, but I don't believe Chris Columbus. I believe Trump's recollection over this. I would imagine the truth is somewhere in the middle. I honestly am imagining that it's just they went to shoot at the plaza and they said, "Oh, hey, how about you be in the movie?" And Trump said, "Oh yeah, sure, cool." I guarantee you it was something that's that simple. And now you've got these two guys going back and forth. We didn't even want him in the movie. He begged me to be in the movie. Dude, I would bet you money it was just a simple, "Do you wanna fucking do a 7-second cameo?" "Oh, yeah, sure, why not? Here's 2 lines. We'll just, you're a fucking celebrity." Of course you want a guy, as famous as Donald Trump was back in the '90s in your fucking movie. Yeah, this just sounds like real pussy shit, dude. He was in your movie for fucking 7 seconds, and you're talking, "Oh, it's this curse, it's this albatross." And Chris Columbus doesn't give a fuck. That's my problem with this. Chris Columbus is a multi fucking millionaire who's not affected one way or the other by who the fucking president is. This guy doesn't give a shit. He just lives in San Francisco and he's just saying what he's got to say to keep his name out of the mud. Dude, it's like super obvious. It's super obvious to me. It's cringe. It's cringy at this point. That's my problem. All of the obnoxious, like, anti-Trump stuff, it's just cringe at this point. Dude, it's like, I get it. I think everybody gets it. I think everybody knows that you don't like the guy. Everybody knows that you're not supposed to like the guy. We all know this. We've been doing this for the past almost 10 years now. I'm very nervous for the future. That's what I'm mostly curious about. I'm willing to bet that 20 years from now, Donald Trump, let's say 20 to 30 years from now, after Donald Trump is straight up dead and not here, we're still going to be hearing about it. Dude, in like 30 years, whenever anything bad happens, people are going to be saying that it's Trump's fault. It's going to be Trump's fault from something that he did 20 to 30 years ago. That's all we're going to fucking hear about. Dude, it's going to take like 2 generations, I'm imagining. I'm imagining that 2 to 3 generations after me is when people will finally stop with this just like constant virtue signaling about being anti-Trump. I, I'm 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 very curious to see how long this shit is going to last. Chris Columbus is a pussy. That's the main deal. Chris Columbus is a fucking virtue signaling pussy. I'm just fucking over this shit. Like, I just don't want to hear about this shit anymore. I don't care. I don't fucking care, dude. We're gonna get through 4 years of this guy being president, and we're gonna come out on the other end, and we're gonna be fine. We did it before. We've done it before. We did it last time. We're all fine. I'm still here. You're still here. Shit's fucking expensive. Shit sucks. Shit's always expensive. Shit always sucks. There's not much I could do about it. Chris Columbus crying in San Francisco Chronicle interviews is not going to do anything about it. You tweeting about it nonstop is not going to do anything about it. Me posting on Facebook about it is not going to do anything about it. Dude, we're all going to fucking make it. We're all going to survive. Home Alone 2 is still good. It's still a great movie. Still a classic movie. It's fine. It's okay. Yes, there's a guy in it for 7 seconds. Yes, he was a celebrity. It just doesn't fucking matter. I am curious. I would like my question answered, though. Like I said, there has to be 3 options. If Donald Trump is a racist Nazi, was he always a racist Nazi and all of Hollywood was complicit? Did he just miraculously become a racist Nazi, in 2015? Or is everyone in Hollywood just talking shit? Is everyone in Hollywood just virtue signaling and just saying what the news tells them to say? That's one of my and that's always been my biggest thing. It's just that this Chris Columbus quote kind of really brought that up for me. I've always been curious about that because it has to be one of those three. It has to be one of those three. You know, like I said, I have my suspicions. I'm sure it's option three, but I'd be very curious to know what people in Hollywood who actually know the guy would say. That's kind of the funniest part is that, everyone in Hollywood was totally cool with this guy. Everyone was totally down with this guy until he got into politics. That should be a lesson for anybody. Anybody in Hollywood, just don't get into politics. Don't bother. Stephen A. Smith, you should not run for president. I think you should just because it'd be hilarious. We get a lot of great meme content out of Stephen A. Smith running for president. That's also been something that's pretty funny that's been going on lately is Stephen Smith actually talking about entertaining the idea of running for president. Oh man. Well, that's all I got. That's all I got for the night. I might be on tomorrow night. I don't think I'll be on Thursday night. Might be back on Friday. Who knows? I'll be back on whenever. So I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Here today to groove and have a beautiful time together, and that it's only the beginning. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I am drunk. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I am drunk.